All right. Hopefully, I can get some people joining me live. That'd be good. If not, well, yeah, here I'm here. I'm here for it, literally. So the evolution can't be true because okay. Has anyone ever observed the abiogenesis? Has anyone at any time ever observed life from non-life, organic matter from inorganic matter? Yes. How and who? This is a bold-faced lie. No. Then it's ruled out as scientific. 3 reasons that debunk the bullshito theory of macroevolution. 1 is genetic limitations within each species. In the natural world prevent macroevolution from ever having to occur. 2, they can constantly conflate strong qualities with common ancestries without the ability to provide any credible evidence to support their bullshit imaginary claims. 3, evolutionary is time plus matter equals abracadabra fucking magic. Da freaking da ha. So yeah, evolution in the face of it, it's just bullshit. It's lies, absurdity. Darwinists, evolutionists, atheists, they just love this thing. This is why I gotta stress that Christians really need to get good at rhetoric and logic, because there's a lot of gifted atheists who are rhetoricians and logicians. They're philosophically inept, but they'll spin you around with their rhetoric. And if you're not equipped to deal with people who are gifted in rhetoric and logic, or make it look like they're gifted in logic, but they're at the very least gifted in rhetoric, then they're going to spin you around like a top. And you wouldn't even know what the hell's happened because they're so good at rhetoric. But that's why Christians, we got to know our stuff. We got to know our stuff as apologetics. We've got to know our stuff as apologetics. So you have to know the lay of the land. You have to understand the language that's spoken. You have to understand logic. You have to understand how logic works. You have to understand how induction works. You have to understand how science works. Understand how philosophy works. You should at least have a basic understanding of how psychology works, and you should understand how inference, induction, logic, philosophy. So all these fields of science, they have overlap. They're not the same, but they connected to each other. Ergo, they overlap. So psychology is connected to psychology, which is connected to philosophy, which is connected to science, which is connected to logic, which is connected to rhetoric, which is connected to language. See all these things. The fact that genetic, oh, that was quick. Yeah, so my laptop died again. The battery, that is. The limitation is that no matter how much time you give, divergent speciation will never happen. Yes, no, you can play plenty. Stick. You're already off to a bad start just by saying that. Okay, I'll give you this. If you don't conflate, then you don't present evidence. No, you present what you think is evidence, but it's you present category errors. You present circular reasoning that looks like evidence, but it's just begging the question. I see you're responding to my points. That's good. You conflate strong commonalities with common ancestry. That's circular reasoning, and it's begging the question. You're conflating it. It's not proven, it's assumed, it's read into it, it's inferred, it's induced. Okay, then just try to argue the first two. Let's see how you do. I already gave a genetic limitation. You can't have divergent speciation because genetic limitation within each species across the known world prevents divergent speciation from ever having to occur. I would like you to present arguments for it. So the evidence I want to see from you is that which you know and can articulate without having to pull up a piece of paper. Are you able to do that? This is called argumentation. This is called presenting arguments and ideas. If you are not comfortable with that, then just log off. But we can assume that logic and rhetoric and language and philosophy and science can be expressed through verbiage and language and logistic without having to pull up a paper. The fossil record is evidence, but it's how we read data from the fossil record that's where the issues come into play. No, what it shows is that there are creatures who actually are alive today, but maybe not in the same. There's species in the fossil record that are alive today, and there are different kinds. There's this different. I'm trying to think of this. Let me think for a second. There are different kinds with the same family lineage. So we're talking microevolution, not macroevolution. So you're reading the data from the conclusion. You're reading the conclusion from the data. Particular reason begging the question. See, that's again circular. You're reading the data from the conclusion. You're reading the conclusion from the data, and it's begging the question. You're loading yourself up with logical fallacies already, man. I've explained it to you twice. I'm not going to repeat myself. It's not my fault to educate you. I have. I've already demonstrated that you're reading the conclusion from the data and you're reading the data from the conclusion. That's the reason. You may not think you are, but I just demonstrated that you are. Yes, I do. I just told you it's reading the premise from the conclusion, and then it's reading the conclusion from the premise. That's circular reasoning. Okay. So you're assuming that things want to. You're assuming data you're assuming the data from the premise. You're assuming the premise from the data. So you're assuming the fossil record equals evolution. That evolutionary chain is true, that there's common ancestry. You're assuming the data says there's common ancestry because of the fossil record. This is circular reasoning, and it begs the question. Yes, you are. No, you're finding your, it's called confirmation bias and um, presuppositions. So you have presuppositions of both the fossil record because you've already accepted the evolutionary theory. You accepted the evolutionary theory, therefore you have to presuppose the data into it. Again, circular reasoning. You are assuming things. You just don't see that you're assuming things. This is why the things that we presuppose or read into things that we don't are aware of, because we do it so naturally, so subconsciously, that when it's brought to our attention, we don't think we're doing it because we don't see we're doing it. We do it. You're doing it subconsciously. You're assuming that because the fossil record is as Darwinists think it says it is, that it must be true. But you haven't really thought that there might be another alternative that's actually a lot more credible. No, I'm not you category error again. I'm not saying you made the fossil record up. That's just a stupid misunderstanding on your part of what I'm saying. I'm not saying you made the fossil record up. I'm not saying the fossil record doesn't exist. I'm saying the way you infer and induce data about the fossil record is on the face of it, demonstrably faulty and false. Let me tell you what I'm saying. Okay, there's two possible theories about the fossil record. One is the one that you're purporting, which is the evolutionary one. The other one is, here, I'll maybe put this in more simple terms. The fossil record either happened over slow ticks of time, gradually, or it happened over a very short amount of time with strong forces happening very quickly. Now, of course, the event that I'm alluding to is, of course, the global flood, known as Noah's flood, which would have, according to the Bible, the waters were coming from the sky and from the depths. So you have water driving things up and down. So the fossil record being where it is doesn't surprise me as a young Earth creationist, because if the Bible is true, which I believe it to be, then these forces being driven up by things from underneath, but not too far that they're like higher than anything else on Earth. So it makes sense to me when I read Genesis and okay, we could have a fish bones. Fish end up in really weird places that they would normally. But the global flood supports how they ended up there. It's logically deductive in my point of view. Okay. Well, I mean, it's my show. I mean, I'm gonna rib people a little bit. If you have dumb ideas, then dumb ideas are gonna get ridiculed. I'm used to getting ribbed by atheists all the time, especially you freaking Peter Boy. What a class act that guy is. I prefer conversation, but Sticks, if you're going to be an oversensitive snowflake, I'm not. That's your prerogative. But I mean, come on, man. We're grown adults. Act like a fucking man. Should be able to take some ribbing. I can take ribbing. That's in good faith, like if people want. But this whole, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were a man. Sticks. Sticks a day sounds like a man. I apologize then. Okay, well, we should be able to take some ribbing, even if you're a lady. But you sound like you're welcome. But that being said, you gotta have some better argumentation. If you're not a lady and you're not a man, then what the hell are you? Or who the hell are you? A boy? A girl? Help me out here. Oh, fuck, non-binary. So you're delusional. No offense. Non-binary is just delusional. Let me ask you another question. What was your assigned sex at birth? No, I'm asking you a question. Like, what was your assigned? This is my StreamYard. I can ask whatever I want. I can ask. I can add. It's incredibly rude. Oh my god. See, this is a problem with this culture. Everyone. It's the oversensitivity. I ask you a simple question and you're offended because no, I don't. I don't buy your garbage rhetoric bullshit. Sorry. I don't buy I don't pronouns are he, him, her, he, him, her, what was the one? Her. Yeah, he, him, her. I'm not a lady, obviously. You can see that in a man. I just don't buy the rhetoric that you want me to buy, and I won't affirm it. So I'm not going to affirm. If you think you're not binary, in all honesty and sincerity, you need therapy because your thinking is detached from reality. If you think you're non-binary, it's not a thing. Humans are sexual. You are female or you're male. I'm not being insensitive. I'm being honest. You're male or you're female. No, I don't deserve respect. I'm saying your gender is made up imaginary. My gender is biological and yeah, my gender is biological. I don't have to. Yeah, that's. Whatever, semantics. I'm not interested in semantic game. But anyways, non-binary is not biological. Yeah, because gender is biological. Sorry, sex is biological. Okay, sex, you're either male or female. Your biology is male or female. Your biology is not binary. So whatever sex you were assigned at birth, that is your biology. Intersex is a thing, but it's like 2% of the global population. So the odds that you are intersex is probably next to zero. Okay, is your biological sex a male or female? That's a simple question. This is my channel. I get to ask whatever the fuck I want. Then you need, honestly, I'm not being rude. I'm not being rude. I'm not being mean-spirited. I'm not being demeaning or arrogant or haughty. But if you think that you're neither male nor female, then you do need to seek therapy. No, it's not rude. You think it's rude because we live in a culture that screams virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling. Okay, then that's what you should identify as. You should identify, I'm not a man nor a woman. You're either male or female. Sorry. Man and women are different than, well, that's, Kate, I'm really not interested in this much semantical hair splitting. It's really unnecessary. But anyways, you're not going to answer a question, and I'm not going to, and this is getting nowhere, so let's move on. What about macroevolution do you think I'm misunderstanding here? Let's get back to the topic. Let's leave this topic for biology aside because it's obviously not something you're interested in. But it's interesting though because there is obviously a translation between what the worldview you're espousing and macroevolution. Now, of course, you would like macroevolution to be true because if macroevolution is true, that means there's no problem with your ideology. But if macroevolution is destroyed, that means your ideology as a binary person is also destroyed. Do you understand that's true? I understand. My question is that I understand that you would want to align yourself with macroevolution because if macroevolution is true, then your narrative of sex, biology, and identity would be actually in light your ideology and narrative of the world in terms of biology, sex, and so on, and identity aligns with macroevolution. But if macroevolution is destroyed, your ideology with sex, biology, and gender and identity is also destroyed. Do you understand that? Because I understand that when things are presented to us that are difficult for us to accept, not because they're not true, but because they can upend our entire ethos and epistemology. If your epistemology is upended, that's very unsettling. I'm I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is I'm still managing my argument. But if you keep typing, see, this is the thing you got to do. You have to learn. Don't type anything right now. Just listen. If you just listen and don't type, you won't miss anything. But if you type while I'm talking, you can type while I'm talking. I'm not saying you can't. If you have a question, that's one thing. But if your mind can't, you need to be able to put your mind in a place that can listen without trying to think of a response. See, most people can't do that. What I'm talking about is called active listening, and it's a very rare thing. I mean, active listening means that you can listen without trying to formulate a response in your mind. So active listening, it allows the mind not to formulate a response, but to simply process the information that's being presented to you. And it's also active because it is self-explanatory too on the face of it. Because if you're actively listening, you're not thinking of responding to me, but processing the information that's being presented to you, which is not the same thing, of course. But most people, as soon as they hear things, their mind usually starts to formulate a response to what's being said. And then while the person is talking, they're not hearing it, therefore not processing it. They usually stop listening at the point where their mind starts formulating the response. But if you can actively listen, it demonstrates maturity, demonstrates a willingness to understand, and it demonstrates a willingness to be presented with information that may be uncomfortable for your epistemology. That's good. I see you haven't typed anything. That's impressive. So our epistemologies are very core to our understandings of who we are as people. If your epistemology is upended, it's very unsettling. Now, most people, again, they don't reject truth because it's true. Because people reject truth because it's unsettling, and people reject truth because it has a way of messing with our epistemology. Your epistemology is going to be everything that you draw on to give you a foundation for your life. So it could be philosophy, could be religion, could be science, could be relationships, could be work. But basically what epistemology is that which is core to who you are as a person, and that which that gives you an understanding of the world around you. So you are interacting with the world, and the world is interacting with you. The epistemology is the foundation that grounds the knowledge of the world with which you live in, both your world, the world that you interact with, and it's a relationship based on reciprocity. So the natural world forces us to build an epistemology, whether we like it or not, because we have to live. And the only way to live is to have some kind of basis for knowledge. If you don't know anything, you're going to die. I mean, it sounds a little bit obvious, but if you don't know anything, you're going to die. I mean, you have to know that you need to drink water every day. You need to know that you need to eat healthy in order to have a healthy life. You need to know that you need to exercise in order to maintain good bone density, good cardio health strength, and it helps stabilize your hormones and emotions, and it also helps regulate your metabolism. But if you don't know this and you don't act on any of this, you're actually going to die. But most people say, well, I don't need to know that. My body tells you. Your body tells you things, but human beings don't always listen to the commands our body's telling us. My body's telling me right now that I need to go to sleep. I'm overriding it because I want to get this stuff off my chest. But my body also tells me that I can feel my metabolism is working well, my mind is working well, and I exercise. I get over 10,000 steps a day. I train in martial arts pretty well every day. I eat well. I drink lots of water. One thing I probably do drink too much and consume too much is probably drink too much coffee and consume too much sugar. That's my two weaknesses. Sure. What would you like to just talk about macroevolution? You see me walking 5 feet. You know that I walk 5 feet. You turn around and look back half an hour later and see him walking a mile away. How did I get so far away? Probably because I'm a taller person than you and I'm taking longer strides. Okay, then tell me, how did you get so far away? I'm saying so now. Well, probably you walked away and I wasn't paying attention. I was looking somewhere else. My mind was occupied with something else. You're out of my periphery and I didn't see that you had walked away. I don't know how else to answer this question. Okay. I'm not really sure how you're going to use this analogously, but go ahead. Extremely unlikely in both situations, but I suppose a helicopter is possible, but alien seems, well, about as far fetched as me dating Scarlett Johansson. And teleportation is impossible, at least according to current physics. Okay, I think I know where you're going with that. But that I still think that's not the greatest. I don't understand what you're saying, but that's not a good case for evolution. If you can't demonstrate it, then guess what? It isn't scientific because the first thing about science is that which has been observed. So it hasn't been observed, then it's not scientific. Then you can say it's a scientific theory, but you can't say it's scientific. Because again, science deals with that which is observed, tested, repeated. If it hasn't been observed, then it's not scientific. Okay. Of course, mutations happen in DNA, but there's also DNA that doesn't mutate at all. But that's not proof of evolution. Okay, but genetically that just makes sense. That's still not indicative of macroevolution being factual. It just means the genes were passed on. That's so what? Okay, so that means you are having to use induction. How about that? Whoa. And then the more logical assumption based on that is that we evolved from these life forms using mutations that we know occur, just allow them over many generations, or that we're dust, that we formed. Well, the thing is, there's got to be some part of you that knows that the question you're asking is still loaded, right? Like, evolution is a loaded gun. The point is, no one has pulled the trigger. It's a loaded gun without the trigger doesn't even exist. The trigger is still in the imaginations of macroevolutionists. We formed from the dust 67,000 years ago. I'd probably say, yeah, it's in that range-ish. But could it be somewhat longer? Sure. I don't know. Possible. But it's definitely a hell of a lot younger than what you think it is. I seem to be doing okay for battery power this time, surprisingly. Yep, I absolutely believe, looking at the evidence, that young Earth creation is monstrously more logical than a macroevolution. Not just a little bit, but like incredibly, all the way, totally more logical. And it's not even a matter of whether I think it's logical. The question is, which one is actually true? Can you because I can demonstrate that it's way more logical to believe in a young Earth creation than it is to believe in macroevolution. It's so easy to accept young Earth creation. All you have to do is accept one premise, that God exists. If you can accept the premise that God exists, then young Earth creation is not that difficult to accept. I already explained earlier about Noah's flood. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, and I'll send it to you in this chat later on. But I'm not gonna repeat myself. It's not my, like Peter said to me, it's not my job to educate you. It's your job to educate yourself. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't like repeating myself. Yeah, it does actually. It certainly does. You just don't like the answer. See, this is because your epistemology is being unset. Your epistemology would be upended if you were to accept all the stuff what the Bible says. If you accept the Bible, it's gonna mess with your head and your heart. It's a good thing because, like, if you're not open to have your epistemology challenged, your life value system skills challenged, your epistemology challenged, your science challenged, your morality challenged, your ethos challenged, your empathy challenged, your virtue signaling challenged. They're all aging correctly because of confirmation bias. That's how they got aged incorrectly. Mhm. How do you know that? Have you ever radiometric dated something? Oh, I have a confirmation bias, but my confirmation bias is based in reality. I accept that. Every epistemology, every person has a confirmation bias. You can't function without one. It's impossible. So I have a confirmation bias, but my confirmation bias is based in coherence to reality. Yours isn't. You have I confirm in my bias through coherence to reality that the Bible is true and evolution isn't. So it is a confirmation bias. Again, everyone has a confirmation bias because everyone has an epistemology. In order to have an epistemology, you have to have confirmation bias. Otherwise, you're just dumb. So everyone has a confirmation bias because everyone has epistemology. Everyone has epistemology, and therefore everyone has a confirmation bias. If you deny this, then you're ironically detached from reality. Sure, buddy. If you think you're on the side of science and that confirmation bias, science Science doesn't do anything. Scientists do things. And scientists have confirmation bias. And if you don't think you are, then your Dunning-Kruger effect is, well, in full force. Yeah, but the thing is, you don't question the things in evolution. You don't question them. Do you question that evolution could be false? Do you question that the fossil record might not be the thing that you think it might not be saying what you think it's saying? Do you think it's possible that Darwinian evolution might be false? Do you think any of those things think you may have been lied to? You may have been duped? Yeah, I think questioning everything you know is a great idea, actually. Contrary to what many atheists on this platform think of me, I have questioned pretty much everything that's ever been told to me. Oh, I know, right? You jumped off the fucking CN Tower, didn't you, buddy? Happens to the best of us. I was talking to Pizar, not you, Sticks today, just so we're clear here. I question at least once a week. Every time I hear creationists talk about evolution, I question it and genuinely listen. Okay, that's fair. That's respectful. I respect that answer. That's honest and earnest. I haven't heard the Earth being a globe is a theory. That's news to me. I attest that the Earth is spherical and circular in mass, and it's So that's interesting. Sure, there are some flat earthers out there, but I ain't one of them. No, that's not a theory. That's definitely a fact. Bacteria causes disease. So what? That's demonstrably true. That's scientifically provable. I think you could conflating what is just a theory to what a theory that can be accepted as credible or scientific or factual. Germ theory of disease. Okay. I have never heard that before. I can't. Hope to God it's not from AAG. That would be embarrassing. Fair enough. So, anything else you guys want to talk about? Or anything else you people want to talk about? I don't think that you're accurate with that. I don't think that the evolutionary scientists allow the fact that they're wrong. I don't think they allow for that. It's not been my experience anyway. Well, if that were true, evolution would be disregarded a long time ago. Let's see what stuff you got here. 4,960. Oh my god, almost halfway through my steps for today, and it's only 20 after 4. These. Looks like a high step date. Waits a certain node. Yeah, if the change, it probably changed a little bit though. Not anything significant is changing. Oh, here, theory of relativity. Fantastic theory, but it's not provable scientifically. Well, not it is provable scientifically, but it's not. This most people have interest in this philosophy and stuff like that. So. I understand what you're saying, but it's just Yes. Anyways, I'm gonna close this out for today. I'm gonna end this stream in 3, 2, 1.